Hey friends, welcome back to Grand Adventure. I'm your host, Mark Guido, and in this episode, we are back in black. Back in the Black Hills of South Dakota, that is. So, stay tuned. So it seems like every time that we visit an area, we leave some things on the table for us to return. And the Black Hills of South Dakota are no exception. When we were here in 2018, we stayed up at Pactola Lake, which is a Forest Service campground on a beautiful lake in the forested northern Black Hills. However, we only made a passing trip through Custer State Park, and that is an RVer's favorite, and for very good reason. This gave us the perfect opportunity to spend a lot more time in Custer State Park. One of the highlights of the 71,000-acre Custer State Park is the Needles Highway, one of 3 scenic routes along the Peter Norbeck Scenic Byway. Norbeck, a former South Dakota governor, marked out the road's entire course on foot and horseback. Deemed impossible to build by some of its early critics, the 14-mile Needles Highway passes through sharp curves and narrow tunnels to deliver world-class views of some of the most impressive granite spires within the Black Hills of South Dakota. Needles Highway starts adjacent to the stunning Sylvan Lake. This small lake is just too beautiful to ignore. We're going to have to make it a point to return later this week for a bit of kayaking. With tight turns and numerous low, narrow tunnels to negotiate, Needles Highway is not passable in an RV. If you're in a motorhome without a toad, there are Jeep tours available so that you may leave your rig behind. Near the center of the Needles Highway, the road reaches a hairpin turn at the trailhead to Cathedral Spires, and we can't think of a better place to get out and go for a hike. Iron Mountain Road is another portion of the Peter Norbeck Scenic Byway that leads northward from the Needles Highway to the Black Hills town of Keystone and Mount Rushmore. The road includes a couple of unique pigtails, where the roadway loops back upon itself via curves and bridges to negotiate a sharp elevation change within tight quarters. We visited Mount Rushmore back in 2018 and didn't feel compelled to stop by the National Memorial again. That's not to say, however, that we didn't get to greet George along the way. So we were last in the Black Hills back in June of 2018 when we were filming episode 42 of Grand Adventure. If you haven't yet seen that episode, I'll put a link right here on the screen so you can go back and check it out and discover just how far this channel has come since way back in episode number 42. However, what we found last time was we spent about 3 hours wandering around forest roads here in the Black Hills and were completely unsuccessful in finding a place to boondock. We encountered almost the exact same situation this time. We spent about 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday last weekend looking for a good boondocking spot that also gave us the cell phone signal that we needed to work from the trailer. Once again, we completely failed. We did find some beautiful boondocking spots this time, although the cell service was weak. And it turns out that this was a really tough time to come to the Black Hills because the campgrounds are nearly full because the annual Buffalo Roundup here in Custer State Park is taking place this week. So, we ended up in Buffalo Ridge they call themselves Buffalo Ridge Camping Resort, right outside of the town of Custer. It's brand new. It's only been open for a couple of years. The sites here, they're a little bit tight. However, the facilities are drop dead gorgeous, including 2 swimming pools and a hot tub that we've been using almost every night. Just like every campground here in the Black Hills, they are winding down for the season here while we're here at the end of September. It is getting late in the season. They did have a few inches of snow just a week or two ago, but it's been beautiful and sunny this week while we've been here. The rates here for full hookup, we're paying somewhere in the mid-30s per night. So it's really a very decent rate considering the competitors around here in the Black Hills area. Our campground is located just outside of Custer, which is generally regarded as the earliest European American settlement in the Black Hills. This is where gold was first discovered in 1874, leading to the famed Black Hills Gold Rush, an event commemorated by the town's Gold Discovery Days celebration and festivities held each year over the last full weekend of July. The mining of precious metals and industrial minerals still contributes to the area's economy, along with timber harvesting and, of course, tourism. Many of Custer's street corners are adorned with colorful bison statues, each painted in vivid colors by a different artist. Those who want a view of the Black Hills from above but aren't up for a hike may drive to the Lookout atop Mount Coolidge within Custer State Park, for magnificent vistas across the Black Hills and the Great Prairie beyond. The Mount Coolidge Lookout and Fire Tower was one of the last projects completed by the Civilian Conservation Corps in the late 1930s. Built of local stone, the tower rests atop a 6,023-foot peak and is still used today as a fire lookout and dispatch center. As the highest point in central Custer State Park, it offers breathtaking 360-degree views from the top of the fire tower. On a clear day, you can see the Badlands nearly 60 miles away in the east. The Wildlife Loop Road travels through 18 miles of open grasslands and pine-speckled hills that much of Custer State Park's wildlife calls home. You might see bison, pronghorn antelope, whitetail and mule deer, elk, coyotes, wild burros, prairie dogs, and a variety of birds, including eagles and hawks. We found the herd of wild burros, or rather, they found us. These burros make it a habit of stopping each passing car to beg for a handout. We found a portion of the state park's massive bison herd alongside the Wildlife Loop Road. We'll be back later this week to see them again during the park's annual Buffalo Roundup. Just a few miles south of Custer State Park, Wind Cave National Park was established in 1903 by President Theodore Roosevelt as our nation's 7th national park and the first cave to be designated a national park anywhere in the world. Approximately 95% of the world's discovered boxboard formations are found in Wind Cave. The cave is recognized as the densest cave system in the world, with the greatest passage volume per cubic mile. Wind Cave is one of the longest caves in the world, with 149 miles of explored passageways, most of which are beneath this hill behind the park's visitor center. The passages in the park are said to breathe as air continually moves into or out of them, equalizing the atmospheric pressure of the cave in the outside air, as these ribbons display at the cave's natural entrance. The Lakota Sioux consider this place sacred, as the site where they first emerged from the underworld, where they had lived before the creation of the current world. The caves themselves, unfortunately, remain closed due to coronavirus, so that gives us one more reason to return once again to the Black Hills. But we're able to explore the park above ground, including the largest remaining natural mixed grass prairie in the United States. Elk Mountain Campground, which straddles the edge of the Ponderosa Pine Forest and open prairie within Wind Cave National Park, offers 61 first-come, first-served dry campsites in both forested and open environments. We're making good today on our promise to return to Sylvan Lake for a bit of kayaking. Sylvan Lake may be only 17 acres, but for paddling, it makes up for its diminutive size with its stunning scenery. Rental boats are available for those who travel without a kayak or paddleboard. In addition to paddling, the Sylvan Lake area also offers picnic places, rock climbing, swimming, and hiking trails. It was still pre-dawn when we lined up along Custer State Park's Wildlife Loop at 4:30 this morning, awaiting the 6:15 a.m. opening of the South Parking and Viewing area for the park's annual Buffalo Roundup, which draws over 20,000 spectators each September to watch the park's herd being driven the final 5 miles into corrals. Custer State Park has had a long 50-year tradition of using private citizens to help with its annual Buffalo Roundup. 20 riding positions are open to the general public. Successful applicants are not eligible to reapply for the next 3 years. All proceeds from the Roundup's morning pancake feed go to benefit the Battle Mountain Humane Society.
It's a long ways to the tent. Just let me know.
Not only is the Roundup a spectacular sight to see, it's also a critical management tool in maintaining a strong and healthy herd of approximately 1,300 animals, as the park's grasslands are only able to support about 1,000 animals through the winter. Once the Roundup is complete, testing, branding, and sorting of the buffalo begins. Buyers from all over the United States and Canada have purchased the park's bison to start their own herds, with the auction's proceeds supporting the park's day-to-day operations. So we truly hope that you've enjoyed revisiting the Black Hills of South Dakota with us. Coming up next week, we're going to be bringing our American Heartland Tour 2020 a little further west into the state of Wyoming. So if you're not yet a Grand Adventurer, this is the perfect time to go smash that little red subscribe button, the one right down there in the corner, and ring that notification bell. That way, you are sure to come along on each and every Grand Adventure that we air every Wednesday evening. We would be honored if you shared the channel with your friends, family, and on social media. Now, it's extremely important to us that if you like this video, please give us a big thumbs up down below. And while you're down below, that's where you'll find the comments section. That's where we love to hear from you after each and every episode. So until next week from Wyoming, please remember, life is nothing but a grand adventure. We'll see you then.